Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Week 10 college football picks of the 2018 season. Before I get started, we did have two games in the MAC. I'll do a quick recap for them right now. Kent State beats Bowling Green 35-28. These teams are just playing for pride at this point. Good win for Kent State on the road, as they look better than Bowling Green, and I don't think too many people expected Kent State to look better than any team in college football except maybe UTEP. And then Buffalo beats Miami, Ohio 51-42. Good win for Buffalo at home. They look like the best team in the MAC. Miami, Ohio, they have to win out to be bowl eligible. So now let's do Let's do our game pick predictions. First game, we have one on Wednesday, a game in the MAC. Ball State versus Toledo. Toledo is a 20.5 point favorite. Ball State needs to win out to stay bowl eligible for this season. Toledo, they're looking to go 7-5, 8-4 possibly. And I think Toledo gets the win, but I do think Ball State covers that 20.5 point spread, as I have Toledo winning this game 30-13 over Ball State. Now the Thursday games, a lot of MAC action here. Northern Illinois versus Akron. Northern Illinois is a 6 point favorite on the road. This is a very good Northern Illinois team. Their out-conference schedule was really tough, but they hung in a lot of these games. And I think Northern Illinois gets the win, and I think they cover, as I think they beat Akron 14 to 7. I think they cover by 1 point, 14-7 Northern Illinois in a low-scoring game. Next is Ohio versus Western Michigan. Big game in the MAC here. These two Ohio. If Ohio wins this one, they get into a bowl game. Western Michigan, they were in a bowl game already, but they probably want to improve and go at least 8-4. Ohio's a 2.5 point favorite, and I'm going to pick Western Michigan to bounce back after losing last week against Toledo, and I have Western Michigan winning this game 38-31 in the upset at home. And then your last game, Temple versus number 12 UCF. This is kind of a big game in the American, both undefeated teams in the conference. UCF is a 10.5 point favorite at home, and they're number 12 in the college football playoff rankings. And I think that UCF will get the win, and I think they'll cover, as I think they're going to beat Temple 34-17. I think Temple's going to be in this game, but I think when coming down the last minutes of the fourth quarter, with about 7-8 minutes left, I think the game is going to be wrapped. And those last 6-7 minutes in the quarter is going to be wasted. So give me UCF 34-17. Now to our Friday game, some ACC action. Number 25 Virginia at home against Pittsburgh. Virginia is a 7.5 point favorite at home. I think Virginia is going to win and cover here. I think Virginia, they see the opportunity that, hey, they could be in the ACC championship game. And I think they're going to take advantage of that, as I think they're going to go ahead and win this one 27-14 over Pitt. Next, Western Kentucky versus Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is a 13.5 point favorite at home. Middle Tennessee, if they win, they're in a bowl game this year. So, Western Kentucky, they're just playing for pride at this point. They could be spoiler, but I just see Middle Tennessee winning and covering this game 34-10 over Western Kentucky. Next game, some Pac-12 action. Colorado versus Arizona. Two teams fighting for to get into a bowl game. If Colorado wins, they're in one. Arizona still has to win two more, as Arizona is a 3 point favorite at home. And I'm picking Arizona to win this one 27. I think the spread is perfect. I have a 27-24 Arizona in this one. I feel like Colorado, I said that was a fluke. I said people were overreacting, picking them at number 19. And it proves that I'm right. So give me Arizona 27-24. Now to our Saturday games. Louisville versus number 8 Clemson. Clemson's a 4 point favorite at home. And I went back and forth with this one. I definitely have Clemson winning, but with the point spread. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say that Clemson goes ahead, and I think they're going to win this one 52-17, which pits which means Clemson's not going to cover. So I have a 35-point game. I have Clemson winning it 52-17 at home. Next game, Nebraska versus number 10 Ohio State. Nebraska has been picking up steam lately, but they have to win out to make a bowl game, so they have to win every game. They're going to be desperate to get this one. But against number 10 Ohio State, especially on the road, I think Ohio State gets the win. But I do think Nebraska covers it. I'm going to be a little bit bold here. Give me Ohio State to win this one. 42-27 over Nebraska. So Ohio State wins 42-27. Next we have number 19 Syracuse versus Wake Forest on the road for Syracuse. Number 19 Syracuse. Syracuse is a 5-point favorite on the road. And I think what's going to happen here is that Syracuse is going to win and cover, as I have Syracuse winning by a touchdown this one. 49-42 over Wake Forest. I think this game is a blowout. Is a high-scoring game, not a blowout. A high-scoring game. Number 20 Texas A&M is on the road against Auburn. Auburn's a 4-point favorite, and I would normally pick Auburn in this game, but I have this gut feeling that Texas A&M, they're going to try and make a run for the table. They're going to try and run the table, making a New Year's Six bowl. As I have Texas A&M going into Auburn. I think they're going to beat them 24-20. So a 4-point win for Texas A&M. Number 24, Iowa State versus Kansas. Kansas is coming off a big win. Iowa State, they're fighting for a bowl game, even though they're ranked number 24. I think that Iowa State's going to win and cover in this one against Kansas. I have Iowa State winning this one 34-9 over Kansas. I think Iowa State is a dominant team. Next game, South Carolina versus Ole Miss. The spread is even in this game. This is probably the first time I've seen a spread even. I'm going to give it to the home team, Ole Miss, just because Ole Miss is at home. I agree that the spread should be just about even for this one. And I think Ole Miss is going to probably go ahead and win this game 41-37. Ole Miss in this one. I'm not sold on South Carolina this year. Next game, Rutgers versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin a 28-point favorite at home. I think Wisconsin wins and covers. I think they want to make a statement, as I think they're going to go ahead and beat Rutgers 42-3. I think they blow out Rutgers at home. Michigan State versus Maryland. And this has been a really tough one for me as a Terps fan, because I want to pick the Terps, but yet again, I think Michigan State's the better team. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm picking the Maryland Terps to win this one. I'm buying into it. Michigan State is a 2-point favorite, so you can say I'm picking the upset. And give me the Terps to go ahead and win this game 23-19 over Michigan State, as we are going to march into a bowl game this year. Next game, Oklahoma State versus Baylor. Oklahoma State is a 7.5-point favorite. I think that Baylor will cover, but I'm going to give Oklahoma State the slight edge in this one, as I think Oklahoma State goes ahead and they're going to win this one 42-40, a 2-point win for Oklahoma State. So I'm going to give Oklahoma State the slight edge on that one. Next, you got Air Force versus Army. Army is a 7-point favorite at home. I think Army's going to win this one and cover against Air Force, even though Air Force has looked pretty good over the past few weeks. But I think Army is a good football team, and they're going to probably win this one. I'm going to say 24-14 over Air Force. Memphis versus East Carolina. I'm picking Memphis on the road here. They're desperate for a win. East Carolina, they're desperate too, but I think Memphis is going to be the better team. They're going to try to get as much wins as possible for Memphis at this point. And I have Memphis going ahead, and I think Memphis is going to go ahead and win this one 48-28. A 20-point win for Memphis. I think they want to make a statement. Next, Central Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan still fighting for a bowl game. Central Michigan at this point playing for pride. And I have Eastern Michigan winning this one and covering the 13.5-point spread. I think they win this one and dominant 24-17 to 3 win over Central Michigan. Georgia Tech versus North Carolina. Georgia Tech is fighting for a bowl game. North Carolina, they got to win now. They even want to be in a bowl game at this point. And I think Georgia Tech's going to take care of business here, win and cover. I have Georgia Tech winning this game, 41-31 over North Carolina. I just feel like Georgia Tech is the better team. Texas State versus Georgia State. Two teams probably playing for pride at this point. They still could get into a bowl game. Georgia State, I'm going to roll with them as the home team, saying that they're going to win this one by a touchdown cover. And give me Georgia State. I think Georgia State's going to win this one 35-28. San Jose State versus Wyoming. San Jose State is playing for pride at this point. This game could have snow in it, possibly. I was looking at the weather forecast. Wyoming, they have to win out to get into a bowl game. I do think Wyoming's going to win at home. I don't have a spread for this one, but I do think Wyoming does win at home. I think they're going to win this one 44-21. So a 23-point win there. Next, South Alabama versus Arkansas State. Arkansas State still fighting to get into a bowl game. South Alabama at this point has to win out to get into one. Arkansas State is a 15.5-point favorite. I think Arkansas State probably wins this game. I'm going to say they do cover against South Alabama at home, as I have Arkansas State winning this game 42-21 over South Alabama. Georgia Southern versus UL Monroe. In my opinion, Georgia Southern should be ranked at number 24. That if you check out my rankings video, if you don't want to check that out, go to my YouTube channel, and it's one of the first videos to click on it. But in my opinion, Georgia Southern should be ranked. They blew out Appalachian State basically. They're a 7.5-point favorite on the road against UL Monroe. A UL Monroe team that is looking at least to get into a bowl game, fighting to get into a bowl game. But I have Georgia Southern winning and covering this one. I think Georgia Southern goes ahead and wins this one 31-17 over UL Monroe. Marshall versus Southern Miss. Two teams here. That probably, I think Marshall's definitely going to be in a bowl game. Southern Miss are fighting to get into a bowl game. Marshall is a 3-point favorite. But I'm actually going to pull the trigger and pick the upset in this one. Give me Southern Miss to go ahead and win this one 27-20 over Marshall. I think Southern Miss is a little bit desperate for a win as they try to at least make a bowl game. And then 3:30, our first big game here. Number 6 Georgia versus number 9 Kentucky. Big game here in the SEC. I'm watching this one. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the Georgia Kentucky game and the West Virginia Texas game. And I personally think I'm going to be playing this safe. I'm going to say Georgia wins, but I'm going to say Kentucky does cover. I'm picking Georgia. It would not surprise me if Kentucky wins. Because if you want me to be frank with you, I want to see what Kentucky's defense could do against Alabama. So that's why I kind of want Kentucky to win this game and win out so they could get to face Bama in the championship possibly. But I do want to see this Kentucky team against against Bama's offense. I do want to see that. But I think Georgia's going to win. I'm going to play it safe and say that Georgia wins this one 20-14 over Kentucky on the road. I'm just playing it safe. The other big game, number 13 West Virginia versus number 17 Texas. Texas is a 2-point favorite. This is a Texas team that's coming off a loss and probably feels a little bit disrespected being ranked at number 17. And I think they're going to come out, win, and cover that 2-point spread against number 13 West Virginia. As I have Texas winning this game 41-30 over West Virginia. I think Texas is going to come out angry and they're going to play their asses off and win. Another big game here, number 16 Iowa versus Purdue. Purdue's a 3-point favorite at home. And I want to say Purdue gets the win at home here. I think the spread is perfect. I think Purdue wins this one 20-17. I'm not sold on Iowa, and that I've been saying that all season. I'm not sold on them. I think my point's going to be proven here as I have Purdue winning this one 20-17. Florida State versus number 21 NC State. NC State at home has a 7.5 points. They're 7.5 point favorites. And I think they're going to win and cover NC State. I'm really not sold on Florida State. I don't even know if Florida State will get to a bowl game per se. But I have NC State going ahead. I think they'll win this one 30-19 over Florida State. Liberty versus UMass. UMass is a 2.5 point favorite. I think UMass at home will get the win. Liberty is they're fighting to get into a bowl game. UMass is fighting to just stay alive for another week. I think UMass does that in a high scoring affair, 56-51 UMass. UTEP versus Rice. Two teams, probably the two worst teams in the Conference USA. Rice is a 1.5 point favorite. And I'm going to be picking Rice at home. I'm just a little bit more confident about Rice. UTEP, they have proven me wrong at times. But I think Rice at home, I think just gives them enough. And I think Rice is going to win a very sloppy 22-20 win over UTEP. Tulane versus South Florida. South Florida is a 7 point favorite at home. Tulane's going to be in this game some, but I think South Florida at the end wins and covers. I think South Florida probably gets a 2-touchdown win over Tulane, 42-28. Navy versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 13.5 point favorite. I think Cincinnati will win this game and knock Navy out of bowl contention. But I do think Navy will cover, as I have Cincinnati winning this game 33-24 over Navy. Louisiana versus Troy. Troy is a 10.5 point favorite. I think Troy wins here, but I do have Louisiana covering on the road. Give me Troy to win this one. Also by 33-24 as well. Kansas State versus TCU. TCU is an 8.5 point favorite. Both of these teams are just fighting to keep their bowl aspirations alive. And I'm going to give TCU the benefit of the doubt at home. But I do think Kansas State covers, as I have it as a 27-21 win for TCU. Minnesota versus Illinois. Big game here. Illinois could pull off the upset at home against Minnesota. Minnesota is a 9.5 point favorite. I do think Minnesota will get the win, but they won't cover. Give me Minnesota to win this one, 41-34 over Illinois. Number 14, Penn State versus number 5, Michigan. Another big game here. Michigan's a 10.5 point favorite. And I want to say Michigan wins and covers at the Big House at home. Give me Michigan to go ahead. I think they're going to win this one 29-17 over Penn State. I do not think Penn State is worthy of a 14th spot in the top 25. I think Penn State is a bit overrated. Number 22 Boston College versus Virginia Tech. Boston College is a 2 point favorite on the road. And I think the losing continues. Continues for Virginia Tech. Give me Boston College to win by a touchdown, 35-28 against Virginia Tech. So I think Boston College will win 35-28. Missouri versus number 11 Florida. Florida is a 5.5 point favorite. I think Florida wins and covers here. Give me Florida to win this one, 33-21. I think they bounce back and get the 12 point win here. Number 15 Utah versus Arizona State. Tough game to predict. Utah, yes they do. They are ranked number 15, but the resume, they don't really have any big wins. They lost against the best team they have played this year. And I think Arizona State, I think they're a bit underrated. And I think Arizona State, I'm picking probably the upside. I'm assuming Utah is a favorite by 7 points or less, probably like a 4 point favorite. Arizona State, I think, will get the win. Give me Arizona State 34-30 over Utah. Charlotte versus Tennessee. Tennessee's a 21 point favorite. Two teams here fighting to keep the bowl aspirations alive. And I think Tennessee gets the win, and I think Tennessee covers, as I have Tennessee winning this one 42-7 over Charlotte. Alcorn State versus New Mexico State. Don't have a spread here. But Alcorn State is 7-2, and New Mexico State has looked really bad this year. And I'm going to be bold here. I'm picking the FCS opponent, and I'm going to say Alcorn State. I know nothing about them, but I think Alcorn State gets the 34 to 26 win over New Mexico State. Appalachian State versus Coastal Carolina. Appalachian State is a 14.5 point favorite. Kind of a big game here in the Sun Belt. I think Appalachian State, I do think they get the win. They bounce back and get the win. But Coastal Carolina will cover, as I have it 38 to 30 Appalachian State in this one. UConn versus Tulsa. Two teams playing for pride at this point. I'm going to pick the home team, Tulsa, to win this one. 41 to 35. Houston versus SMU. Houston's a 13.5 point favorite. I think Houston will get the win and cover on the road. Give me Houston in this one to win 49 to 27 over SMU. Duke versus Miami. Miami's a 9.5 point favorite. Two teams here, decent teams in the ACC, a very underrated matchup. I think Miami wins this game at home since it's at home, but I do think Duke covers. Give me Miami to win this one 21 to 17. Number 4, Notre Dame versus Northwestern. Notre Dame's a 9.5 point favorite. I'm so tempted to pick Northwestern in this one, but I'm going to play it safe. I have Notre Dame winning this game 23 to 20 on the road, but it would not surprise me at all if Northwestern gets this win. Louisiana Tech versus number 18 Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a 22.5 point favorite. I think Mississippi State probably wins this game, but I'm going to say Louisiana Tech does cover as Mississippi State gets the 23 to 9 win over Louisiana Tech. UCLA versus Oregon. Oregon is a 10.5 point favorite. I think Oregon gets the win and cover here. I do think they cover probably by 17 points. Give me Oregon in this one 37 to 20 as they try to bounce back. Again, and they're bowl eligible if they get the win and go from there. Florida Atlantic versus Florida International. Florida Atlantic is fighting for the just to be bowl eligible at this point. Florida International already is. And I think Florida International probably gets the win here and covers. Probably by 2 touchdowns. Let's say 34 to 20 Florida International. UTSA versus UAB. UAB 22 point favorites. I think UAB definitely gets the win here. And I do think they cover against UTSA. Give me UAB to win this one 45 to 17. 45 to 17 UAB. Now the game, probably the game of the year so far. Number 1 Alabama versus number 3 LSU. Alabama's a 15 point favorite on the road against LSU. And the question in this one is going to be how much is LSU going to stop Alabama's offense? How much is that defense going to stop that offense? And I think I'm going to be safe here. I think Alabama gets the win. I do think that. But I think LSU definitely covers that 15 point spread. I think that 15 point spread is ludicrous. And I'm going to say that Alabama does get a 21 to, I think they actually no 24 to 14 win over LSU. I think Alabama gets a 10 point win. I think they pull away late. I think it's going to be a fun game. But if Alabama goes out and let's say beats LSU 42 to 17 or something like that, the season's over. I cannot see any other team being Alabama except maybe Clemson. So I mean, this game, this is going to tell me all I need to know about Alabama on how legit they are. Number 7, Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. Oklahoma is a 13.5 point favorite. This is another big game here. I'm going to say that Oklahoma gets the win, but Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech will cover. But I have Oklahoma winning this one 42 to 30 over Texas Tech. Stanford versus Washington. Washington is a 10 point favorite. This was probably your biggest game of the year in the preseason in the Pac-12, but now it's not. But I do have Washington getting the 28 to 26 win over Stanford. USC versus Oregon State. I'm picking USC to win this one. We don't have a spread, but give me USC to go ahead and win this one 38 to 21 over Oregon State. BYU versus Boise State. Boise State is a 13.5 point favorite. I think Boise State will win, but I do think BYU definitely covers. Give me Boise State in this one. 34-27 Boise State. I think Boise State does cover. Let's see. San Diego State versus New Mexico. San Diego State is a 10-point favorite. I think San Diego State does win on the road and cover this one. 30-10. Number 23, Fresno State versus UNLV. Fresno State is a 25-point favorite. I'm going to say Fresno State does definitely get the win here, but I do think that I think that UNLV does cover barely. I have 41-17 Fresno State. Two more games here. Cal versus number 8 Washington State. Washington State is a 10-point favorite. This is a Cal team just coming off a big upset against Washington. I think Washington State gets the win, but give me Cal to definitely cover that 10-point spread. I think Washington State does win the game 24-16 over Cal. And then your last game, Utah State versus Hawaii. Utah State is a 19-point favorite. I think Utah State goes into Hawaii and blows them out the door. Give me Utah State in this one. 55-26 over Hawaii. So those are my picks for week 10 of the college football season in 2018. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about my picks. Also, I'd like to hear your picks. Tell me if you disagree with my picks. Also, please like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And thanks for watching the video. And this is Medea the Beast signing off.